Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions or any entities they represent. This podcast is about dating experiences. It is not to say one dating app is better or worse than another.
It's no accident that sounds like you're leveling up in a video game. 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds have an online dating profile.
Make them work for it.
45% of people say they're more frustrated with this form of dating than hopeful.
There are so many people you can connect with.
Should I swipe right?
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong. Setting the record straight on dating apps. Everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world with your host, Chaos.
Well, I know he had a good time.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, you know how it goes. Good night. Whenever you're listening to the podcast, welcome to the Swipe Wrong podcast. I am Chaos. Welcome to the number one podcast that Stormy Daniels listens to, and not one person pays her to keep her mouth shut. So, I think this show, hopefully you've found some funny stories, you found some interesting stories, maybe you've even found quite a few relatable stories where you're like, oh yeah, that kind of happened to me, and there's a lot that I think we get into on that. And I think in the upside down, as we run into this, there's a few things that we might run into that you guys have kind of ran into yourself. And if I say run into 5 more times, everybody eventually gets a cookie. But it's something, I guess, like, how many times have you run into somebody when you're on an app? You're like, oh, shit, they were married. Of course they weren't going to tell me that. Well, I think this one kind of deals with a subject that a lot of people are trying to navigate, and that's dating after divorce and how complicated that can be and what you're trying to navigate. And I've talked to a friend a couple of months ago, and we were trying to figure out, and I know I've said it on the show, how many different levels of compatibility you need to have as you go through all the dating cycle. Is, do you get along? Do you make each other laugh? Do you enjoy each other's company? Is the sex good? Then it's like, if they have kids, or the parenting style is the same, do they like the way that they parent, and so on and so forth. Well, the other thing is just navigating, what it's like to put your personal needs and what you want at the forefront when you're so used to having like 2 people together and think about what makes us happy. Now it's what makes me happy. All right, I'm going to move forward because that's too much. I feel like that's too much of a soapbox. So let's just get ready for the show. And how do we get ready for the show? Sit back, relax, put your feet up, enjoy, grab some popcorn, get it buttered if you need to. If you're in traffic, don't hit that person next to you, and enjoy dating after divorce. When you go from a divorce, when you go from bad relationships, you just sound like, as an individual, now you're ready to be like, all right, cool. I don't need somebody, but if I want somebody to enhance my life, then that's cool.
Yep, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
So perfect. Whereas when you first were dating and everybody was there, it almost felt like it was a need, huh?
Yeah, it did. And I was just having this conversation this weekend with a friend about how when I first got divorced, and I was terrified to be alone. I didn't know what to do with myself. I mean, I have 3 kids, and my world was taking care of them and doing everything for them. And then they, leave the house, and I didn't know what to do. And it was terrifying. And so, like I said, I just filled my time. I tried to make as many plans as I could. I didn't want to be alone, because if I was alone, then I was forced to think about everything that had happened. Yeah. And now I look back, and for example, I spent Christmas alone because my ex took the kids on a vacation, which was great. And I just want to say too, my ex-husband and I are in a really great place now, despite everything that happened. I mean, we co-parent really well, beautifully now. But they went away with him, and people asked like, oh, are you so sad? Is this going to be so hard for you? And I loved it. It was really, now I'm so picky about when and who I spend my time with. And I love my time. For example, tonight is my night free. This is the only thing I have scheduled by design, because I didn't want, I could have gone on a date tonight. I don't want to go on a date. I want to be at home. I want to be alone and meditate and journal and do all of those things that now that I've fallen in love with. So that's why I think something like how I'm approaching dating now, it really makes me question, like, do I want to spend time with this person? Is this somebody that, will add to my life? Is it worth it?
Yeah, I love it. I do. So the generic questions. So since you've gone through all this madness, worst date ever that you've had on this? Tell me about the worst date if it comes to mind, or if you had any bad dates.
Yeah, I have had one. This is right after I got divorced. And again, he was literally the first person I matched with on Bumble. But I was on Bumble. I was on all of them. I was on Bumble with this guy, matched with him. And I told him he was my first match. And mistake, number one. Anyway, so I saw his pictures. I did vet him with my friends. Is he cute? Yeah, he's cute. Okay. So we go to like a shopping mall area and I walk into the bar and I text him and I'm looking around. And I say, I'm here. And he's like, oh, I am too. I'm right over here. So he stands up and I'm telling you, Chris, he didn't even resemble the pictures.
No way.
I hate that. Close. I mean, all these men, you hear them talking about, oh, these women and their filters, this and that. Give me a break, because let me tell you what these men do. They will tell you they are 40 when they are 52 years old. And I am not even exaggerating, because that was the first thing I asked him when I sat down. I said, and we'll call him Tom. I said, Tom, how old are you? And he said, I know I'm not 40.
No.
That's what his profile said. I said, no, you're not 40. And he said, I'm actually 52. And I said, well, why did you say that you were 40 years old? That's 12 years like younger than what you are. And he said, well, because I really want to have kids. And so then the empath in me kind of sits. And so I sit down. I'm like, oh, I know. I'm sorry. But I said to him, I'm not having any kids with you. I'm not interested in that at all. And I said, I have 3 kids and I am not having any more. And he just explained he wanted to show up in the searches of women that were younger. I mean, not that 40 is that young, but like, maybe he's hoping to get somebody that is in their 40s that hasn't had kids yet, that still has a chance. And so anyway, that was probably the worst date. On top of it, it was just, the conversation was horrible. I mean, you start things off with a major lie like that. It's not, there's nowhere to go,
Major. I can't believe how was he at least his height that he said? I mean, was he even in that ballpark?
He was probably also 15 to 20 pounds over the weight in his pictures. When I say he looked nothing like it, nothing. So I didn't even stay for dinner. We just had a drink. We had like an appetizer. And then I said I had to go let my dog out. I didn't have a dog at that time. So
now you have a dog just in case you do need to let the dog out.
Exactly.
Oh, girl, that stinks. Any crazy Valentine's dates?
Valentine's
That's coming up. Yeah. It's just
I got dumped last year on Valentine's.
What?
Oh yeah. That was also a real cool way to go.
Oh, girl.
Yeah, this was an interesting one too. So I won't say his name. He, I've had some doozies. This was also a guy I was involved with for quite a while, and we were exclusively dating. And I say exclusively dating because they all say we're exclusive, but
yeah, for sure.
We were exclusively dating. But again, my intuition kind of said, I don't know, something feels off here. So I was out watching the Super Bowl, and a girlfriend of mine is single and she's on Bumble. So she was swiping through, and guess who we saw on Bumble? We saw the guy I was dating.
No way.
And so I took a screenshot of her app, the picture from her phone, and I sent it to him on Valentine's Day morning. And I said, maybe we should talk about this. And of course, I'm so sorry. I was just looking at blah, 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 blah. I'm going to come over tonight. We'll talk about it. And so we ended up I said, you know what, if you're looking, then that's a sign that this isn't going anywhere. It's been long enough that you should know. And I should know. And we both didn't know. So that was an epic Valentine's.
Guys are fucking stupid. I swear to God. Like, I know I'm one, but we're the dumbest. Like, you get male ego, you get keyboard courage and anonymity in there. Fucking curtains. It's over.
I know. That's okay. This year is bound to be better because I don't know if you can go anywhere.
You've got a plan.
Yeah.
You've got a plan. Like your 2023 has got a plan. You're moving forward. You feel good about yourself. Like there's nothing but good things are going to happen.
Yes.
Because the train wrecks, they've been cleaned up. I mean,
I know. God, no more train wrecks, please.
All right. So best date. How about that one?
Best date I had was in Wisconsin, Lake Geneva. I went up there. I matched with a guy on Hinge. And we did do a FaceTime first. We did a couple FaceTimes before we met up. So I knew what I was walking into. He looked like he said, he looked like his profile. Sure. We had good chemistry just through text and conversation through the phone. We started at a coffee shop. Again, like really good chemistry. The thing I liked about this date is that we had enough in common. We had fitness in common. So we had that kind of to talk about a lot. I'm a competitor. He's not, but he's really serious about his exercise. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of commonalities there, but then we had some really big differences too. Politically, we're pretty different. We live in two different states. So we had enough difference that felt interesting to me, because I don't necessarily want to date somebody that is the carbon copy of myself. Sure. I'm interested in people that think differently than me. And I find that fun and challenging. So we coffee shop that led to dinner on the water. We got to see a proposal get set up. Which was kind of cool. Like that was kind of romantic. Yeah. And then we went to a speakeasy and sat by a bonfire and just kind of snuggled and drank a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a really, really great date. So
in Lake Geneva, that's probably 2 hours, 2.5 hours? That can't be too far?
It's maybe an hour and 15 minutes from me.
Okay.
It was kind of the middle. Yeah, it was kind of like a midway point for both of us. He lived further up north. And so, it really wasn't midway, but it was a cool spot that we were both having to drive to. So
how did you met? So I know like Facebook dating, for example, gives zero fucks about how distance you put. Like you could put 30 miles and you're going to match with somebody in Mud Lake, Kentucky. But is Hinge the same way? I haven't been on Hinge in a while.
Hinge, you can set your mileage preferences and you can say if it's a deal breaker or not. Okay. I did not have that far on mine, but he had his set pretty far. So I think that's why we ended up matching. Okay. Now I have it set pretty far because I realized that for me, distance is not a deal breaker. I've kind of made a list of my deal breakers. I am completely willing to have a long distance relationship. Again, if the effort is there to make time. Sure. And if I feel really super secure with somebody, I don't need to be with that person every day because I have my own life and enjoy my space. So it's okay.
Thank you for being along for the ride on the Swipe Wrong podcast, where we take everyday people like you and me telling their everyday stories of their swipe right life. Show is produced by Jay Pelham. He is the host of Pelham Place. If you want to reach out to the show and tell us your story, we'd love to hear it. Give us a call. Google Voice us at 317-426-6616. Leave your information and we'll get back to you, or just your story. You can also email us at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. We are on Insta, Facebook, TikTok. We're out there. I am Chaos, the host of Chaotic Commentary. You can find me pretty much anywhere that you see me. And next week, the saga continues.
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong.